Good evening. Call this regular board meeting of the Fairborn City Schools Board of Education to order Thursday, November 1st, 2018. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Philo, call the roll, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mrs. Malad.
Here.
Mr. Browning.
Here.
Mr. McCourt.
Here.
Ms. Reister.
Here.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the agenda? There is a correction on page 2, item 6A1. Brian Smith is a volunteer there.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Reister.
Mr. Browning.
Yes.
Ms. Reister.
Yes.
Mr. McCourt.
Yes.
Mrs. Malad.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, motion carries. And motion to approve the minutes of the Thursday, October 4th regular meeting and the Saturday, October 27th work session.
So moved.
Second?
Figure that out.
Thank you, Mrs. Malad, and thank you, Mr. McCourt.
Mrs. Malad.
Yes.
Mr. McCourt.
Yes.
Mr. Browning.
Yes.
Ms. Reister.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, motion carries. Board member reports and good of the order. Mr. Browning.
Okay. Just as everybody knows, the middle school, high school sports just wrapped up and had a lot of good seasons. And obviously, we've got two teams that were GWAC South championship. They're champions here. I don't want to steal that thunder. I was able to go to the boys' game when they played Xenia, and that was pretty cool. And then everybody went and got under the scoreboard for the pictures I think a lot of people have seen. The student and staff of the quarter, that to me continues to be a really neat program for us, recognizing kids from all ages and staff and the accomplishments that they do. Got to go to the trunk or treat at the primary. That was my first year of getting to go to that, and I really enjoyed that. And our primary staff were all dressed up as crayons. So it was pretty neat, and the kids loved it, and pretty much every child that came by wanted pictures with the staff as the crayons. Earlier this week was the Fall Strings concert, and the thing for me going to that's neat is looking at the progress from 7th grade, because that concert's 7th grade through 12th grade, and it's really neat seeing the progress the kids from 7th grade through, the final orchestra that plays at the end of the night. And then marching band. The band, the new uniforms are here. They're being fitted. They have a contest this weekend at Kings, which is the MSBA champions and championship, and they march at noon. And then a week from tomorrow, they're at Indy, the BOA Grand Nationals at Lucas Oil Stadium, and they march at 11:30. So it's always exciting watching them at contests, and they always show very well, and they always really represent the school well. So that's it.
Okay, Mr. McCourt.
Also, band contest that I went to, or Jerry and I went to down in, oh my gosh, Miamisburg maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice cold day, but everything went well down there and was well attended. Also, to the athletes, I just want to throw out that you athletes, I know you have a big responsibility on your shoulders as student athletes. But I just hope you all realize what your winning and your hard work not only means here at the school, central office, but also in our community. I've had a lot of people come up and just say, great job on your all's, what you all have done this fall. So when you're out there and on the field, upcoming winter, spring, just realize what you do, people are watching and people are very proud of what you have accomplished this fall. So keep up the good work. I hope each and every one of you go home tonight feeling great about yourself and what you've accomplished. There's ups and downs going through high school, I understand that. But this is a big up, not only for you, for the district, but again for the community, and we thank you for that. Also, student staff of the quarter. This thing is becoming really a nice event for us where we can highlight staff and students. It's great to see the little ones come up, and they're so nervous and so scared to come up on the stage, but it's great to see them come up and get their award and their T-shirt and certificate. And also would like to thank Mr. Lawley for showing up and pinch hitting for some of the board members that were busy doing other things. So appreciate everything you all do as students and parents as well. Thank you.
Ms. Reister?
First, I want to thank some of the ROTC young men and women who showed up to a fall party and worked a haunted trail. They jumped into character and took it and ran. They were awesome. I, too, attended the trunk or treat at Fairborn Primary. It was really fun to see all the cool little costumes and the fun little kids and their families, and there were a lot of families. And then I also was able to attend the Halloween parade at Fairborn Primary yesterday. And so that was fun to see all of the little kids in their costumes and excited, and the teachers dressed up. It was, even though the weather was miserable, it was fun to do that inside of the school and see all the bright shining faces.
Mrs. Malone?
Just want to say welcome to all of our honorees and special guests tonight. It's good to see everyone here. The only thing I have to add to all of that is I noticed Mr. Deskins is here to visit us tonight. Just a reminder that Tuesday is Election Day, and the Greene County Career Center does need your vote desperately. So if you are of voting age, please get out there and vote for them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I would also like to put out a shout out to the JROTC students on what was a teacher day or no student day on Friday the 19th. About 30 of the students showed up to help mulch trails and work in the park over here, make the trails nicer, build a bridge over a creek, and generally knocked out a job that I thought might take about 2 hours, knocked it out in about an hour and 10 minutes. So. I also attended the Network for Public Education Conference in Indianapolis on the 20th and 21st of October. That was at my own expense, and it was a real eye-opening thing of even more craziness going on that's very detrimental to public schools and the public school students. There were presentations from, this is really scary, the LA City school system has 800,000 students. And it's spread out over a pretty broad geographic area. But their class sizes, there were several large city school districts presenting at this conference. Their class sizes, the smallest that any of them mentioned was 35 students, and it ran up to 45 students. And that's through all grade levels. Well, that's, craziness going on. There's a presentation about people that want to do online preschools, which that's a real scary thing too for, developmental appropriateness. So the closing speaker was the president of the NAACP, Derek Johnson. That was a real motivating situation there. Starting Monday at the primary school, I have this Soaring Skyhawks program kicking off. So I'll be participating in that every Monday morning. On Friday the 9th, if any of the board members are available for this at 1 p.m. at the primary, the Rotary will be giving out the student dictionaries, which is also a fun event. And to reiterate, Election Day on Tuesday, if you haven't voted already, please do so. Every vote does count. And there are some very important differences in the various candidates and things on the ballot relating to education in particular. So that concludes that. So.
Question, was the large class size out there due
No. No. It's lack of being able to hire enough teachers because of lack of money. Something has to give if you only have so much money. so.
Right.
Okay, we'll move on to item 7, recognition of visitors or public comments. If anybody wishes to address the board, please step to the podium, state your name and address, and limit your comment to 5 minutes. Anybody? Okay. Seeing no one, we'll close recognition of visitors.
Now.
Now, okay. Item 8, school district presentations. Mr. Lawley.
Thank you, Mr. Board President. I am going to have to skip down to C because the gentleman that's going to present has another commitment at Beaver Creek High School. Here tonight, we have the Executive Director of the Fairborn Digital Academy, Mr. Eric Tritch, is going to give the annual report for the Digital Academy. Fairborn City Schools sponsors the Digital Academy. Mr. Tritch.
Hello? Is this
Yeah, you're good.
good? Okay. So first off, I want to thank you for having me out here today. I see our boys soccer team, and as a former Fairborn Skyhawks soccer player, it's great to see the team out here, so that's really good. I think they've got good news to present, so awesome. I'm glad that you're keeping up the legacy that I helped create. It was all me.
Mr. Malott would have something to say about it.
So I just want to say, since 2002, Fairborn City Schools has been the sponsor for Fairborn Digital Academy. We have had a really good time working with Fairborn City Schools. I think we have a really good team approach to how we are helping Fairborn students. Last year, we had 313 students who were enrolled in the Digital Academy for at least 1 hour. We track things by the hour. So 313 were enrolled actively for at least 1 hour. We had 43 graduates last year. And our report card came out. We are on the Dropout Recovery report card, so it's different from the report card that Fairborn City Schools receives and all of the buildings in Fairborn City Schools. So when I say these numbers, we're not comparing ourselves with Fairborn High School. It's a completely different comparison. We were 8th overall in the state out of 81 dropout recovery schools. Actually, we were tied for 8th. If you take out all the ties, we were in 4th. So that's a really strong year for us. And unfortunately, it was one of our weaker years. We were tied for 5th in the state for high school test passage rate. That got us a meet standards rating. So when you think that, in fact, even the school that got first in that category only received a meet standards rating. So that's a very difficult standard to exceed. We met standards for progress. We met standards for gap closing, which is really unfortunate. We did not have enough students the previous year to compare with last year's rating in some categories, so we didn't receive points, which ended up costing us and getting a better rating. But our graduation rates, 13th in the state for overall. We get rated on 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8-year graduation rates. So overall, 13th in the state for those schools that had indicators in all areas. We were 23rd in the state in 4-year, 29th in the state in 5-year, 17th in the state in 6-year, 10th in both 7th and 8-year graduation rates. We were 2nd in the state in dropout recovery schools for students who had students in the 4-year graduation rate that had earned at least 3 college credits through the College Credit Plus program.
and 17th in the state of students who earned career credentials on graduation. So overall, I think we had a pretty strong report card, even though we only received an overall rating of meet standards. As I transition, I've done this speech now for the last 3 years, I think, and I've been the principal in the last 2 years. I am now the executive director. As I have transitioned into this position, one of the things that I want to make sure that we continue is to have a strong relationship with Fairborn City Schools, their board, their high school, their principals, because I believe in what we're doing. I believe in Fairborn. As I said, I'm a proud alumnus of Fairborn High School. So hopefully we can continue that going forward. So thank you. Is there any questions that anyone has?
Well, I'll just make a comment that, having been over there and visited and seen what you do over there, it's a vital service and option for those students that may have to work full-time to support their families, or they function best in the middle of the night, whatever the reason is, that it's a great option for the challenging students that you have over there. And it's a great service to make sure those kids are coming along the way they need to be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trish.
Thank you.
Next up, we have junior high staff member, teacher, Mrs. Kitten Gear, to make a presentation on the Washington, D.C. trip that will be coming up later in the school year.
I get it again. I'll share.
All right, I shared with the board our itinerary, our cost, and our projected, I can't think, the 3 days and what we're going to do each day. We have, today is the deadline for them to pay their first installment. We have 56 students already signed up, and by midnight, hopefully we'll have a few more. But we have raised, they did their first cookie dough fundraiser, which all the money is due by tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And so far, they have raised $18,644 in cookie sales. We have 3 students that have almost paid their whole trip.
Wow.
That's
That's
fantastic.
So it's wonderful. We added an extra week with the cookie dough this year, and it made all the difference. We'll have another fundraiser in February to help the other students, so.
Awesome.
It's a wonderful trip. This will be my 8th year, so I worked with the company and worked out some of the itinerary. So we're walking a little bit more than waiting on the buses, so we get more bang for our buck. So if you have any questions for me?
I don't have any. I just want to thank you for continuing to put this together, because it is a really important trip for them.
It's fabulous, and when I first started this back in 2001, I went for the first time, and Billy Harchick, who is now a coworker of mine, sat next to me on the airplane, and it cost $1,000, and we only took 30 kids, and now we're able to go by caravan and take so many more. It's great.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Well, I know I have one who's very much looking forward to it, so.
Yes.
We're very excited for you.
That first night is the hardest night because none of us sleep, but after that, it's good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Next, it is with great pleasure, as some of the board members commented earlier, we were GWalk champions with boys soccer and GWalk South champions with girls volleyball. And we would like to recognize those teams here. And if I could ask Mr. Alexander, the athletic director, to step to the podium and say a few words and to hand out certificates.
Surprise.
You're giving him a mic?
I'm very shy. I won't stay up here long. I want to congratulate our volleyball team. We're going to do volleyball first. Congratulate them on back-to-back GWalk championships 2 years in a row. So for my first 2 years here as athletic director, there's the most championships we have with our volleyball team. I'm going to go ahead and name off everybody, as we couldn't get everyone here tonight, but thank you very much for the girls that did come. They were coached by Tiffany Andrews, Darby Ballard, Jessica Black, Kaylee Grippo was assistant coach, Samantha Hart. Brittany Hogan, Katie Knapp, our freshman. Sarah Peterangelo, Honey Sampson, Charity Taylor, Ella Whalen, Leanne Williams, and Kenzie Culbertson. We'll get hers. Can we get a picture with the board members with the girls? If Mrs. Gayhart can take that picture for me and give it to me, I'll get it tweeted out on our athletic site. All right, congratulations again to our volleyball GWalk South champions. Thank you very much. Next, we're going to recognize our boys soccer team. This is the first league championship that our boys soccer team has won since 1980, and Coach Greg Durker was part of that team back in '80. I think he, freshman maybe? Oh, a junior. All right. Well, their record was 6-3-1 this year, and so it was outstanding. I have to tell everybody that not just the soccer, but even the volleyball game when we actually played Xenia for the championship, I was really concerned about our bleachers. You know, we had new bleachers installed, and we had such a good crowd in the gym and a huge student section. So the Hawks Nest showed up that night, and they were jumping up and down, and I was worried they might break. With the soccer game, same thing. We're playing Xenia, and Mr. Skidmore was there, and I said, okay, we're going to have to keep the kids from rushing the field. Well, we kept one gate clear, but we forgot about the other one. So before they could shake hands, our student section was out celebrating with the team on the field, and something happened. I'm really not exactly sure. There were fireworks over on the other side of 675. I heard about those. I don't know where they came from, but anyhow, it was a pretty exciting night. So congratulations to our boys soccer team. So Jared Bates. Donovan Durker. Keegan Durker. Ned Dunbar. Ned here. Zach Gilman. Emilio, not here. Troy Harold. Matt Hoffman. Karsten Kurtz. Christopher Lawrence White. Donnie Lynn. Tyler Manning. Rajay Morgan. Cesar Munoz. Eric, one of our assistant coaches, Eric, couldn't make it tonight. Joe Nickel. Yeah, right here is your G-Walk leading scorer, Joe Nickel. Congratulations, Joe. Zane Pacifico. Wiley Parker. Jared Prophet. Logan Snyder. Jacob Sowers. Nate Walburn. And our head coach, Greg Durker. Yeah, if we can get a picture of all you guys and our board members.
2 or 3 lines.
I'm gonna go on the other side here. Short people on the end.
Hug each other.
All right, ready? Wait, I can't see.
Good job, guys.
Again, congratulations, boys soccer and girls volleyball. Yeah. Next group we would like to recognize is a number of staff members who just a month or so ago, perhaps, we had a very serious medical situation, and I will bring up Mrs. Gayhart to talk a little bit about that and recognize these outstanding staff members for their quick action in treating the student that needed to be treated.
Good evening. On September 20th, one of our students was involved in a very unfortunate accident in our ROTC classroom. By no fault of anyone, just accidents do happen, but the extent of the injury was very serious, possibly even life-threatening, and based on the quick actions of the teachers that were in the classroom, as well as the custodial staff, teachers in the building, and our athletic trainers in the building who had some medical background, and then teachers who were just close by, and we needed a pair of hands, and they jumped in and, you know, did what needed to be done. The student was transported by the squad to Miami Valley. It was a very, very serious injury, and in looking back, we were just so appreciative of the actions of the staff member who, quite frankly, could have saved this student's life. I don't want to speculate as to what might have happened, but it was a serious event, and we truly appreciate these staff members being so selfless and just stepping in and doing what needed to be done. So we would like to recognize them at this time. Kevin Alexander. Pam Browning. Eric Fricksons. Deb Hauberg. Laura McCabe. Chuck Mustin. Jason Skidmore. Brian Wheeler.
Let's see, this guy here really knows when to step up to the plate and help me. He helped me one day.
James Williams. And I believe I caught everyone who's here. Some additional staff members who assisted on that day were Kathy Burke, Teresa Cox, Anna Hall, Pam Coverman, Mike Lowry, Debbie McFadgen, Brandon McNeil, Terry Oberschlake, Jackie Phillips, and Alicia Simpson. So again, thank you to you all.
You're still taller than me, so it's
Wait a minute, don't move. There's one person that's leaving herself out of this that was the leader in this whole thing, and that's Mrs. Gayhart. Would you get up there so you can get your picture taken? Thank you very much. You know, just a final comment. A lot of great things happen here in Fairborn, and our students and staff, I will put them up against anybody in this entire area. Again, congratulations to all of you on a job well done. Okay, next is a presentation by Dr. Sue Brackenhoff and Mrs. Amy Gayhart on the senior graduation requirements.
They need to go.
She's coming.
Oh, okay.
Emily's on
Okay,
her way.
Okay, we have one more presentation. I apologize, we left them off our agenda. We have from the primary, Mrs. Carone, and she wants to make a little presentation on the winter literacy night. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to let them do the work.
Awesome.
Hi, we're students from Fairborn Primary School. My name is Ava Miller. My name is Ava Wren. My name is Shelby Smith. Every year we welcome families of Fairborn Primary School to do some fun learning activities with the teachers. This year family night will be on Thursday, December 13th. It's from 6 to 8 each. We have a lot of fun activities, such as a book walk and masking, people reading books to us, or bingo, making crafts, making books that we get to keep, sing, Olaf, and the Grinch. We have a special guest that we get to meet, Santa. At many of the stations, we get an activity to take home. The teachers are there to talk with our parents about how they can help us at home with the take-home activities. Students have the opportunity to win a free book at the book walk and word bingo. And to top it off, we even get a cookie from Santa's helpers. Hope to see you there. We would like to invite you to come join us on December 13th, very first time at our family night for 6th grade. Hope to see you there.
Awesome.
We want to shake your hand too. And we will definitely be there, okay? We'll be there. You got this down. You've done it like 3 years running. Excellent job. Good job. Ava Rentz, that was some impressive reading. It really was. Her fluency's on point, Dad.
Okay, now we will on the senior graduation requirements.
Good job, girls.
Good evening. Each year, we have Mrs. Gayhart give us a report on the status of our graduation group. As you know, last year, we had Herculean efforts, I think, by the high school staff in making sure that we got as many kids to graduation as possible. Last year, we had the option of an alternate pathway. This year, we do not have that option currently. And so Mrs. Gayhart is going to give you the status of the class of 2019 as well as the efforts that the high school currently has in place, and we continue to develop new things each day.
So just a quick recap. In order to graduate in the state of Ohio, a student must earn 21 credits and then meet one of 3 additional requirements. That's to earn 18 points on the end of course required state tests, or earn a remediation-free score on we give the ACT at Fairborn High School. It's a standardized test. You have a choice. We choose the ACT. Or to earn an industry credential and pass the work keys test in a career field. So the first 2 options are ones that we fulfill here at Fairborn High School. The third, we rely on the Career Center to make available to their students, as that's something that's only available through Career Centers. So currently, we have 255 students in the class of 2019. 56 of those students are at the Career Center, and I know based on last year that the Career Center will work diligently to get them through the requirements so that they are eligible to graduate. That leaves us with 149 students here at Fairborn High School that we are working to get to graduation. 37 of our students currently are deficient in end-of-course points, test points. To make it to graduation, they took the ACT at the end or the last quarter of their junior year at the state's expense, and they did not meet the remediation-free score on that. So they could take the ACT again and qualify for graduation, but it's most unlikely that they will pursue that option. So we are pursuing the end-of-course tests. Some of these students are credit deficient in addition to needing the points to pass the end-of-course tests. And then on top of that, we have 9 juniors who have become credit deficient but are trying to get back on track this year to graduate with the class that they started high school with. And they are not only credit deficient, but they also need to pass the EOC course. And like Dr. Brackenhoff said, the state is not offering an alternate pathway this year for graduation, and so it puts us into a little bit of a predicament. So far, with these 37 seniors and 9 juniors, we have met with them, either an administrator or a counselor. We did purchase a new EOC remediation course this year, and we enrolled them in it for the first semester. Retesting will take place in December, and that is a course, if we could fit it into their schedule, they will earn a half credit if they complete it in its entirety by the end of the first semester. So we're hoping that we will see an improvement on their EOC test score in comparison to the past, because we are actively remediating them prior to them taking the test. And then, like I said, testing will occur in December with results coming back in early March, and then additional testing opportunity will take place in April and May. If a student did not have room in their schedule, we gave them at-home online access to the course. They don't get credit for it, but they still can go through the remediation program with the hopes that we will see a positive impact when they do retest in December. For our students who are credit deficient, through this same online program, we're able to offer some credit recovery. And so for those students who need to get caught up on credits, we offered them the opportunity to enroll in a class period where they could work on that. Many of these students need every single class that they're in, and so they just didn't have the availability in their schedule. In that case, we give them the at-home option to do it. And these are courses that you can work through at your own pace 24/7. And some of them have 1, some of them have 2, 3, 4. But they can work on it at anytime they want. Our computer lab is open before school, after school, and at various times during the day. So if they had free time during the day, they could logically get on and work on it at school as well. So for those students, they may have to not only earn their credits in order to get to 21, but they have to pass their tests as well. So we are very closely monitoring students. Counselors are meeting with them. We meet as an administrative team and counselors to talk about where the students are at, what their progress is. Mrs. Hauberg has gone in and met with many of these students personally just in the last about week and a half to make sure that they fully understand, where they're at and what needs to be done. We have communicated with all parents at this time through a letter that was mailed home, and we will continue to monitor and make sure that students, know where they're at and where that they need to get to graduation. The state has not helped us by not offering an alternate pathway. It's a very rigid option to have to earn the points on these tests or to attend a career center and get the industry credential. So we're hopeful in the coming year that they will provide our students who just are not meeting those options with something that is still legitimate and helps them to get to graduation. So, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brackenhoff and Mrs. Gayhart. Just to give the monthly update on the building project first for the primary, and this is so exciting each month that I do this, and I'll never get tired of reporting to you. I've been saying we're out almost a year and a half, but now I'm going to say, now we're down to 21 months. I think that sounds a little better. So each month, next month it'll be 20 and so forth. So the primary, we put out bids 2 or 3 weeks ago. All those bids are due November the 8th. So we will be collecting those here next week. There's going to be a down period here, and probably sometime in the late winter, early spring, foundation and walls will be going up for the primary. Update on the intermediate. We have scheduled out 2 different meetings. First is the schematic design phase. That will include different departments at the intermediate, such as your custodial staff, your phys ed teachers, classroom teachers, et cetera, food service, special ed, and some of those departments. We will start those meetings for the design phase November the 13th, and those will run through the 16th. And then, from February the 11th to the 19th, will be final department meetings for the design development for the intermediate. So we are gearing up for the intermediate and getting that off the ground before you know it. So that's just a short update. It's not me.
Is that me?
Yes, it was.
Don't.
Take a note.
So anyway, that's the update on the building project for both the primary and the intermediate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Looking forward to seeing the foundations and walls
Right.
going up
Yes,
down there.
that's when it's going to get real exciting.
Okay, moving on to item 9, budget and finance. I have a motion to accept receipt of the monthly report.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Reister.
Mr. Browning,
Yes.
Mrs. Reister,
Yes.
Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Mrs. Malad,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, motion carries. Doesn't look like we have anything in item 10 for new business, so we'll move on to item 11, administrative reports and superintendent recommendations, which is the replacement for the consent agenda items. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Ms. Reister. Thank you, Mr. McCourt. Any questions, comments on these
I do.
items? Okay. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Reister,
Yes.
Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Mr. Browning,
Yes.
Mrs. Malad,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, motion carries.
Mr. President, item Number 12, executive session. It is recommended to go into executive session for the specified purpose of the appointment, employment, or compensation of public employees.
Okay, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. McCourt.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. And we expect no action.
Call the roll. Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Ms. Reister?
Yes.
Mrs. Malad?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, motion carries.
Board anticipates coming out of executive session, have a short work session afterwards. No other further action items other than adjournment after that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Bilo.
So we go back there.
Yeah.